DreAllDay.com.
So today, y'all, Margate. Shout out to Margate. Today, I want to talk about they don't always know, and I got several of these stories that I want to tell y'all. What I want to tell y'all about these. The reason I'm titling it, what's going on, Russia, ICK. The reason I title it what I'm titling it is because there are going to be times in life when people tell you things that they think is right, they think is the right thing, they think should be the path for you, but they don't really know. They think they know, but they don't really know. So let me tell you this story real quick. So in 2014, like it's 2016 now, right? About 2 years ago, around the same time, I decided I wanted to get into professional speaking. I want to go stand on stages and speak to people and coach people and consult people and things like that, right? But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know nobody who had done it. I had no idea where to start. But I thought about this one person I had seen. I went to this social media event in Miami like the year before, and I remember seeing this woman speak, and I knew she was from Miami, and I knew she was a speaker. Those are two things that I took from her, and I called her. I looked her up like on Google. I found her phone number, and I called her. She called me, and we set up a phone call for like 2 weeks later. And she was like, oh, well, you want to be a speaker, Dre? It's perfect timing because I'm having this event where I teach people how to become speakers, and it's in Miami, and it's in like 6 weeks. So I signed up for her event. It was like $300, right? So I signed up for this $300 event. It's a whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I go to the event, right? So I go to the event. She's teaching the things that she's teaching. It wasn't really about speaking. It was more about kind of building your personal brand, which I had already done, and I did it better than her. So the shit she was teaching wasn't even useful to me. But at the end of the event, the last day of the event, she was going person to person throughout the room. There's like 100 people who went to the event. And her whole thing was, you know, before you leave, I want to make sure you have like an action plan on what you're going to do next. Like, why'd you come here? What you want to do next? You're going to do your own events. You're going to become a speaker. You want to do this. You want to do that. Because everybody who was there wasn't trying to be a speaker. There were some people who just wanted to do live events. Some people who just wanted to start a business. Some people who wanted to be entrepreneurs. So it was a lot of people with different aims. So she came to my seat, right? And she was like, all right, Dre, well, you know, what'd you come here for this weekend? Even though I'd already told her this, but I guess she forgot. So she said, what'd you come here for this weekend? And I said, you know, I came here because I wanted to become a professional speaker. And this is before I had done anything. I hadn't done anything in speaking. So I want to become a speaker. And she looked at me like I had 3 heads and 10 eyeballs. Like I told her I just wanted to change my name to Michelle. That's what she looked at me like I was crazy. Her whole face dropped like. And she was like, Dre, you haven't spoken all weekend. And what she meant by that, when she said you haven't spoken all weekend, what she was saying was you didn't raise your hand and ask any questions all weekend or answer any questions all weekend, which makes no sense because just because you don't ask a question doesn't mean you can't stand in front of an audience and speak, obviously, right? So that's what she said to me, and she ended up even telling me, you know, since you played basketball, you should try to, you know, talk to high school basketball players and college basketball teams and things like that. It was a very uncreative idea. It didn't make no sense. She obviously didn't know anything about me. She didn't invest any time into learning anything about me, and she gave me this bullshit rote answer. So the event was a complete waste of time. But the reason I'm telling you that is not to trash this person, because if I really want to trash her, I could tell you her name and tell you about the event. But I'm not going to do that, at least not today. The point of it is, she didn't know what she was talking about. And there are going to be times in life when someone who has more experience than you, who has done more than you, who has achieved the exact things that you want to achieve. Because she was in the speaking business. I mean, she wasn't that huge in the business, but at that time, she had done more than I had done. I hadn't done shit. She had done something. She was doing her own event. I wasn't. So someone who's achieved more than you, you'll come to them and say, hey, I want to do the thing that you're doing. I want to get on the level that you're at. And they're going to look you in your face and tell you that you can't do it. They're going to look you right in your face and say, yes, I've done it, but you can't do it. I have achieved this, but you can achieve it. They're going to tell you that you can achieve it. And what you need to understand is this. 2 things that I want you to take away from this. Number 1 thing is this. Any successful person who is secure in themselves, secure in their success, and secure in what they've done, and they also know what they're about, they know their business, and they're worth their weight in whatever it is they've achieved, they will never, ever, ever tell you that you can't do the exact thing that they've done. A person who is successful will never tell you that you can't do what they've done. Now, here's what they will do. A person who's successful, who knows their stuff, they will ask you the tough questions. They will say, okay, well, how are you going to do it? What is your plan? Do you have these things in place? Have you done this, this, and this? You know, what do you want to talk about? I ended up meeting, like 4 months later, right? I ended up meeting a person who became my mentor. And when I met this person, the first thing they asked me, I said, I want to be a speaker. They said, listen, no, it's not even about them hiding their success route. That's not the point. The point is, they'll tell you that you can't do it because they don't see the potential in you, because they haven't even taken the time to look, or because they're just insecure in themselves. It's not about them hiding the roots to success, because this is what happened. When I met a person who became my mentor, they start asking me questions. First thing they said was, okay, you want to be a speaker, Dre? Well, what have you done that you can get up on the stage and speak about? What do you know really well? What's your credibility? What do you want to speak about? That was the first question, which is a tough question. If you want to be a speaker, you got to have a topic. You can't just get up there and say, well, I have a story, or I had a rough upbringing, or I had all these setbacks and I got over them. Listen, everybody has a story. So just having a story itself doesn't make you a speaker, but that's besides the point. They ask me the tough questions, and then they say, you know what, you got some things. You played basketball, you got some credibility. You built your brand, you got some credibility in that. You got some topics you like to talk about, you got some credibility in that, because I see you did the stuff on your website and on YouTube and stuff like that. You got some ways you can do that. And that person actually gave me the tools, showed me the way to actually do it, and the rest is history. Now I'm doing the things that I'm doing. So the number one thing I want to tell y'all is that, let me recap the points. I didn't even get to point number 2. Number 1 point is that a person who is successful, who tells you can't do something, is not the right type of person you need to be talking to. Anyone who is successful and they're secure in themselves will never discourage you from doing the same thing they've done. A good person who's really good at it will encourage you and tell you, what, you can be better than me. You ain't got to be like me. You can be better than me. If someone comes to me and says, Dre, I want to build a brand online, kind of like you did, and this, that, and the third. I say, look, you ain't got to do like I did. You could do it better than I did, because you got more tools now than I had back then. And you got examples of people already doing it, so you can take elements from each person and do it better than I did it. I didn't have nobody to work off, though. You could go way better. And here's the second point. You're right, those good people are hard to find, but I'm going to tell you how to find them. Here's the second point. No matter who you talk to, I don't care how successful they are, how much money they got, what they've done, who knows them, what their name is, what their brand or business is. If someone whatever anyone else tells you you can or can't do, you can hear out everybody. Hear what everybody has to say. I just posted this on Instagram, matter of fact. I'm going to tell you where my IG's at in a minute. Understand this. You hear out everyone. I don't care, mom, dad, coach, grandma, teacher, professional. You only listen to, the person you listen to the most on every opinion on any topic in life is yourself. You listen to yourself more than you listen to anybody else. You take your own advice before you take anybody else's advice. I don't care how successful they are, how much money they got, where they from, what they've done. If they on TV, if they got a big house, if they got nice cars, doesn't matter. You listen to yourself more than you listen to anybody else. I don't care what that person says you can't do, why that person is trying to discourage you. You always got to listen to yourself more than you listen to anybody else. I'm going to tell you where y'all can find me online. I'm on Snapchat and Instagram. My Snap and Instagram, somebody post my name there, is at Dre Baldwin. My Snapchat and my Instagram is at Dre Baldwin. I do have a podcast. It's the only other thing I'm going to tell you. My podcast is called Work on Your Game. I was about to say DreAllDay.com. My podcast is called Work on Your Game. So if you listen to podcasts, go get the Work on Your Game podcast. Thank you, Vinny83. And if you've never heard of a podcast, you need to listen. You need to hear of podcasts. I'm telling you about them right now. And go listen to the podcast called Work on Your Game. I put it out every day, same way I do these scopes, damn near every day. The podcast is really every single day. Every once in a while, I won't do a scope. But the Work on Your Game podcast, thank you, Vinny. Trumpet of Victory, you like that? I like that one too. Go check out my podcast called Work on Your Game. We on SoundCloud, we on iTunes, we on Stitcher. So wherever you like to listen to podcasts, go listen to the Work on Your Game podcast. I'm telling y'all, I'm delivering so much value on that podcast. So much value on that podcast every single day is ridiculous. So y'all got to make sure you subscribe, and it's free. For those of you who don't know about the podcasting, podcasts are free to listen to. It's free the same way you listen to Periscope for free, or get on Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat for free. It's free. So go to my podcast and listen to that. And what else I want to tell y'all? That's it. I'm going to just leave y'all with those two things. I don't want to give y'all too much information. Instagram and Snap is at Dre Baldwin. Podcast is called Work on Your Game. Any of y'all got a question for me, send me a snap. That's the best way to reach me quickly, or you can email me. My email is on my website. My website's called DreAllDay.com. Everybody have a great Wednesday. I'm going to get at y'all later. Work on your game. Dre all day. What could you not do with more confidence? Less attention to the negativity of other people, more focus on your goals than nothing else, and not letting unfortunate circumstances slow you down. Would all of those help you out? Well, go to DreAllDay.com/bulletproof. Check out my new 8-week course called Bulletproof Mindset. Get started, and I'll see you over there. Work on you. If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is at Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work on Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset, getting yourself seen, heard, known, getting the exposure you want, and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game.
Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball. I'm ballin'. I feel like Dre